hardwood floors and tiles, we have an unsurpassed selection of flooring. At Penn Flooring, we've provided quality customer service with a family touch for over 25 years. Visit our website at pennflooring.com or come by our showroom, 1201 Southwest 17th Street, just over the bridge. Penn Flooring, quality customer service with a family touch.
Hello, I'm Mark Sears with Regency Printing. With over 10 years in the printing business, I know you'll find Regency Printing the place for all your local printing needs. Plus, I have fax services, mailbox rentals, notary service, U.S. mail, pack and ship, all at one convenient location, 2375 Northeast 25th Avenue. Just look for the yellow signs. Regency Printing, 789-6683. That's 789-6683. Regency Printing.
Broadcasting from the Paddock Mall Studios, this is WOCA, Ocala, Gainesville, The Villages, 1370 AM, 96.3 FM, The Source.
Good morning. You're listening to AM Ocala Live on WOCA, The Source, 96.3 FM, 1370 AM, 96 FM, 1370 AM, The Source. It's time for In the Garden with Carol Ann. Excellent. I like that. I played it a little bit longer today. Let that full introduction go.
Let the whole thing come in.
Well, good morning.
Good morning. How are you doing this morning?
Doing pretty good.
Good. Yeah, it's the middle of, actually past the middle of February.
Past the middle of February already.
We've got, just a few more weeks until we was talking about weather before the cold weather, before the last expected frost date, but it's, doesn't
That's
look
less
like
than a
we're
month
gonna get
away.
less
That's
than a month away. Yeah, it is.
And only, let's see, today's Tuesday, tomorrow hump day, and then there's only one more full week in February, which ends, and then March begins.
And then there we go, yeah.
Man.
That's it. Yeah, it's like, okay, almost 2 months gone out of this year so far, so getting to kick into the new 2020 gardening year.
Yep.
So the season's going. It's like a lot of our cool season stuff I don't think is going to last as long as it has, even though just, looking at the 10-day forecast, we actually look like we're going a little more seasonal next week.
Yeah.
Instead of these mid-80s.
Right.
That we've had mid-80s and then cold front.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like mid-80s, it's nice out then. Oh, God, let me get my coat and my long pants back out. But it looks like the next couple, week or two is actually looks like it's going to be a little more seasonal in that mid-70s range with a little lower, cooler temperatures, but nothing that's looking drastic or anything that we're concerned about new growth on these perennials that are probably shooting out on you now.
Yeah.
And things like that, or maybe you pushed your luck a little bit and put some fresh plants out that might not be quite as cold hardy. It'll slow them down some, but that's okay too. That underneath the earth, they're making their roots, so you'll have a good root system, and that's what we're looking for usually anyway. I'm just a little concerned that some of our cool season, our pansies, our petunias, snapdragons, things like that, might not get a long season this year, only for the sake that it's, we have been up in the 80s, and we have to watch because they also don't like a lot of water. But when they're showing signs of heat stress, we have a tendency to run out there and water them, and then we kill them by overwatering.
Them.
Yeah, even though we have sandy soil, you can still overwater plants.
Right.
It's easy to do.
What's the signs for that? Like you said, when it's a little heat exhausted.
Heat exhausted. Usually, it's we all get well, maybe not this time of year, but I always tell people at 2:00 in the afternoon, I'm pretty dragging too if it's hot out. But you know what? Come 6 o'clock when the sun starts to cool down. Maybe I'm done. I've had personally had a drink of water, but you don't run out and water your plants. If your plants look like they're popping back up or they look good in the morning, guess what? You didn't need to water.
Okay.
Give them a chance. Just because it looks a little sad for a little bit, realize, if it's that hot, that's mostly in the summer months, the hot time of year, that's just going to be what we all are. At 2:00 in the afternoon, if you've been outside all day long, you're looking pretty ragged yourself.
Yeah.
But once you cool down, the next day you're ready to get up and go again. But in the you start as it cools down in the evening, you start to recover. So do your plants.
Yeah.
So it's just one of those things that just realize you don't have to run out there and water. We still actually have watering restrictions until the clocks change.
Okay.
Till that change, then you can jump it up to the 2 days a week.
Which is mid-March,
which
right?
is, I want to say it's like I thought somebody said the 6th of March.
Yeah.
I think so, something like
That's
that. That
the
first
second weekend.
Second week?
Second weekend
Yeah,
in March.
because the first weekend is the end of February.
Yep.
So, it's right before. That's right. It's right before the Master Gardener Spring Festival, which is the 14th and 15th of the month.
Man, we're already looking to change the times.
Yeah,
it's going quick.
Oh,
I always
does,
knew it.
yeah.
February does go quick, like January.
It does because only because it's got a couple. It's short a few days.
Yep.
And so, which is good. Sometimes if you've had a bad month.
Yeah.
You get done with that one really quick and get it out of the way and say, hey, listen, I'm going to start March on a better foot. And we usually hope, and a lot of times February is what I always refer to as February.
Yeah.
February is many times one of the nastiest months for us weather-wise is that we'll be cold because it ushers in normally with rain, and it's just like, I want spring to be here. I'm tired of it.
Right. And this is almost like an indication of what we had this week. Like, okay, it's been hanging around. We've had patchy fog every single morning.
Right.
And then it wants to break out. You'll see some sun, and when the sun comes out, it's getting warm.
It warms up quick.
But then in the evening, it comes back, and it wants to rain, but then it doesn't.
Right.
Cold front comes through. That's when it's gnarly, and then it gets cold. So it's like this is the time, the 30-degree temperature changes and all that.
Right. Yeah, that we're hitting 80.
February ugly.
Hitting to 84 at 2 o'clock in the afternoon and dropping down to 60 or 55 or 60 at 9 or 10 o'clock at night, and so we still have fungal issues. We've got all it's like all that stuff. This it's been a tough, not really tough because the temperatures have been pretty good.
Yeah.
It's getting us out there and things like that. And like I said, I'm not seeing any ugly changes that we're going to suddenly drop down to a 28 and all the work you just had or that all your perennials that have already leafed back out and things like that are going to get knocked to the ground and we're starting all over this year. Unlike, I actually was on looking at my Facebook earlier today, this morning, and let me find that memory. Where is it?
We do have a caller, by the way.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Let's take the caller. I think I can search for this while I'm doing that.
Yeah, good morning. You're on the air with In the Garden with Carol Ann, WOCA Ocala Live.
Yes, good morning, everybody. Foggy Monday or Tuesday morning.
Yep.
Yeah.
I was just going to say that, watch Carol Ann there, that although the race got rained out Sunday, when those rain clouds got over by me, I got a nice half-inch of rain out of it.
We did get some nice, we did get some nice rain out of that, which was a good thing. We do need it. I mean, we are dry.
Yeah.
It's been a dry winter.
They said most of Central Florida needs it.
Yeah.
And actually, what we had Sunday was actually fairly nice because some areas got, like you said,
got a nice
rain.
regular, nice steady rain for a little bit. I was at work and we had gotten a light rain, but as I drove home, I've got a 15 mile, so you can change weather for miles. Yeah. And it seemed like it had rained much more, or in certain areas than others. So it's one of those, hey, it rained on this side of the street, but not on the other.
Oh, it was. It was like at one point it was raining closer to downtown. You could just see it. It was a wall of rain. It was pouring. Yeah, I got a few drops on the windshield, and that looked like it was going to be moving that way, and it
Never
just
made
completely moved out and dissipated.
Yeah.
Yeah, the rains that wrecked the race at Sunday at the track in Daytona, they came from the east and they moved westerly across the state. And being over here in Silver Springs, we got the benefit of a lot of the rain. And I think as it moved more westerly, it kind of faded out.
Kind of piddled out.
I had a good half inch.
Yeah. But see, okay, here's what we had 7 years ago. Today, 7 years ago today, we had temperatures below freezing in the morning.
Yeah.
I had 3/4 of a garden center rolled inside the building because they were sending already warmer weather kind of stuff,
Right.
or it was just fresh flowers and that. I had plenty of new product had just come into the store that morning, which I actually had to tell the driver, no, you're not. Sit back, relax, go get you a cup of coffee, go have breakfast. You're not unloading that truck until it's over 40 degrees.
Right.
You're not allowed, and you know it.
Yeah.
So chill because it's cold out. You're not putting that stuff on the ground.
Right.
You're not gonna have us lose it. But it was one of those things and we had to, it was still below freezing, and I don't know what time I actually, that was recorded because I didn't post it till about 1 o'clock in the afternoon. So it was still one of those kind of things that it was cold. And that was, what did I say, 7 years ago? So we're just in the last 2 years have been a warm winter.
Yeah.
This is cyclic. It will go through. And that we're dry this year, there's a good chance we're running into that, unfortunately, into a dry period where we may have several years of not getting rains in the wintertime.
I could see
and that's something we have to watch our plants and things like that.
Yeah.
I cut my ryegrass for the first time yesterday, and I overseeded it because I had a lot of it was a large bare spot that the dogs are bringing in mud, and I wanted to, and it really turned out nice and thick. And,
sure.
I'm so happy I did that, yeah.
Yeah, and you mowed it, so basically what you did was you just fertilized it and fertilized the lawn that's underneath. Hopefully we don't get too warm too quick, and that'll hold on for you for a while till your grass underneath starts to green back up for spring, and maybe start to come back across or seed in. I would wait probably if you were thinking about throwing, because you have a Bahia lawn, don't you, Hugh?
Yeah.
I would be looking probably at least at like the first of next month before I would go ahead and throw some seed down in those areas, because that ryegrass will start to slow down on its growth, and you'll be that'll be going away probably end of March, April kind of thing. It'll start to get too warm for it, but you'll get that regular grass, your lawn grass, your turf grass, your Bahia up and growing, because that can take up to about 28 days.
Is that right?
To get germinated. But if we've been warm enough, I'm thinking if you start the 1st of March, you'll have it up and growing before the end of March, 1st of April.
Yeah.
See, last week I watched the Weather Channel first thing in the morning,
sure.
And they keep they're going to get more and more rain up into Georgia and across Mississippi, and it's just been unbelievable. And they're 4 foot over flood stage now, and it's only February,
right.
And they're really concerned. But I have a friend that lives up near Atlanta area there, and I remember 2 years ago talking to him. I said, "How's it going up there?" He says, "Well, we're drying up, ready to blow away our Lake Lanier, which is our source of water. You can almost walk across it." And I did a little research on that, and Lake Rainier is actually a reserve. It's part of the Chattahoochee River, and it's a backup water which is called a reserve, and that backup water is called Lake Lanier, and that lake right now is 4 foot over its highest stage ever.
Flood stage,
Yeah, so they went from one extreme to the other, but I know you were saying that that lake might be a concern for us, and it has been in the past with them taking too much water or holding too much water back or whatever.
Right.
I haven't heard anything in the last few years, but it has been a concern that Chattahoochee River Reserve has been a problem for Florida.
Yes, because it's one of those things. It's not in Florida, but somehow or another we have water rights to it.
Yeah,
I'm not sure. Yeah, and again, that's just governmental stuff of how they do on releasing water further down into the river systems or things like that. But I mean, right now, if you drive up, if I don't know if you've been up past Paynes Prairie. recently. I mean, Payne's Prairie still has water in it.
Yeah.
I mean, for
Yeah.
how many years until, I mean, the year, what was that, 2002, when all the 4 tropical storms came through the area, that thing filled up with water.
Yeah.
And it hasn't really gone down since. So in 18 years, it has had significant water in there, which says to me our water table is up.
Yeah. Yeah.
That the
'cause
aquifer, there's concern, there's always concern with the aquifer, especially the quality of it.
Sure.
But to have Payne's Prairie
yeah.
have water in it means Orange Lake's got water in it, and to me that's saying, okay, we're either doing something right, or we're getting enough rain. Now when that starts going down, we had a dry winter, you'll see, when irrigation systems start to come on, that's going to start to probably drop some.
What was that lake in Georgia, partner? What was the
what
lake
was
in
the
Georgia?
name?
We haven't heard anything in the news about the water tables and stuff in the aquifer. So evidently everything's in a pretty high state. And when you think about when we do get into a dry situation with the population down the road from us in the villages that being over 100,000 people and
Right.
growing, I mean they're taking a lot of water out of that aquifer. But as it stands right now, everything's okay. But boy, when we get into a dry period, you're going to hear a lot of squawking about
Sure.
stuff.
Oh, certainly. What's the name of that lake again, Hugh?
Lake Lanier.
Lanier.
Okay.
Okay, yeah, he's trying to look it up over there while we're talking. But yeah, I mean, we have, I mean, right now, because we're dry, I think there is some concern on, especially like folks like you out there near the forest and out in the forest, other areas that have natural locations nearby, that because we're not getting the regular rainfalls or anything like that, that there are some dry conditions going on. So it is one of those things of watching out. Wildfire could be in our forecast. Maybe not this year, but
Yeah.
we may have to watch for next year, of making sure that vines that are growing naturally are not going up our trees in our landscape, running across our fences, cutting those kind of things back and down off of those areas. It might look pretty, but that just is a ladder.
Yeah.
That's just a ladder up a tree, or and from tree to tree to tree when they cross over from the tops. So it's one of those things of starting to watch, make sure that you're not having brush piles sitting near the
Yeah.
home and things like that.
Right.
That if you're leaving brush or natural areas for wildlife, make sure that they're not getting too overgrown and too much of a fire hazard for your own self and your neighbors. And
We've been having a lot of controlled burns out here in the last month, and I suppose this is the time of year they do that. But
Yes.
You can smell the smoke in the air, and there's the highways are all marked off. Be careful for controlled burn ahead, and everything else. But everything seems to be okay now. But like you say, it's been dry, and usually when you get to May without any water, a lot of rain, that's when the problems really crop up.
Yeah, exactly, and because we start to get we have the wind right now, that this time of year it's windy. Once we get hot and we really want a nice breeze, it doesn't blow. Here, when we have nice temperatures, we have the wind blows.
Yeah.
So into April and into May and things like that can really kick a fire across an area in a hurry. And so, watching your landscape, making sure that your plants and your lawn and things like that are not drought stressed. And all that means is watering right. Watering, right now we're once a week. So, okay, you're watering once a week. Or we always say, let your lawn tell you when it needs to be watered. Well, don't let it get crunchy before you water it, because then it's water stressed and it's harder for it to recover from that, making more problems. Shrubs and things like that have been in the ground. Shrubs and things like that have been in the ground for years and years don't usually need a whole lot of supplemental water, only because their root systems are well established and that they're growing. But again, you don't want them to be water stressed. So, like I said, we can kick into the water system once the time change occurs in March. That you can raise your watering to 2 times a week, and sort of space that water out. But remember, your shrubs will probably still only need it 1 time a week. So adjust your sprinkler systems to where you're not wasting water on things that don't really need it.
Yeah.
You know, if your two watering days are Tuesday and Saturday, pick one of them to be your lawn, or both of them to be your lawn, one to be your the rest of the landscape, so that they're getting the water they need, but not extra that they aren't really needing. So it saves you some water on your if you got your own well on your electric bill, or if you happen to have that you're paying for water on your water bill. So, and you can remember that when the rainy season starts, shut that irrigation system off. Put it to manual. Another good thing on when we always say the time change was always to change your batteries in your smoke detector.
Right.
Also change the sensor in your water meter. If you have a rain gauge thing that it activates on your irrigation system, which any irrigation system I believe that was installed, I may have the year wrong, might have been 2001, might have been 2010, somewhere like that, has to have one.
Yeah.
And so change that little sponge, that little quart, because they dry out.
Yeah.
Or they get slimy.
Yeah.
And they no longer float back up. They stay stuck down in the bottom because it dried down there.
Yeah.
And so it's no longer working.
Yeah.
And when I told somebody that, they go, oh, I'm not sure you should. I'll have to look. I'll have to go down to plumbing today and ask, do we sell those little deals so that I can actually say, hey, you can go to this aisle and get you whatever you need to do that. But, look at that. Look at your system when the clocks change. Good time also to check your irrigation. Make sure it is spraying as it's supposed to hitting the areas that it needs to. And, get the little... If you don't have cat food or tuna fish cans, but you got yogurt cups or little fruit cups, whatever it is that you eat that has uniform-sized containers, and it looks goofy, scatter them around the yard, and once your irrigation is done, you can see whether or not you're getting a good coverage for your irrigation system.
I just looked it up, so it's the 8th, that
Okay,
Sunday,
the 8th,
the
okay.
daylight savings will end.
Right.
And it's also a full moon the next day.
Oh, wow.
As we were talking about some changes that'll happen with the spring and everything. So it is fascinating because as much we were talking about the moon a couple weeks ago.
Sure, yep.
So the times will change.
And the moon, you have that moon,
full
and then, what is it? After that, we have Easter.
St. Patrick's Day.
St. Patrick's Day and Easter, yeah. I looked at that.
Yeah, because next Tuesday is Mardi Gras.
Right.
Yeah.
Ash Wednesday. Yep.
Yeah.
So Fat Tuesday next Tuesday.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, interesting. A lot going on.
Oh, yeah.
Awesome.
It's that spring season.
Everything
starts. Everything kicks it off. You've had enough rest in January and February. Get ready. Let's go. Let's get going.
Here we go. In the Garden with Carol Ann. We just got a few minutes left, really.
Before the bottom of the hour.
This was pretty good. So when we come back, is there anything?
I think we'll get in. Joe happened to mention, he was asking a couple questions before we came on the air on pruning shrubs and things like that. So maybe we can get into a little bit on that so that we get, again, shaping and taking off some of that stuff and to make sure that your shrubs are going to come into the new season nice and healthy and growing like you want.
Yeah, that'd be good.
So,
that'd be real good. You're listening to In the Garden with Carol Ann on AM Ocala Live, WOCA, The Source, 96.3 FM, 1370 AM. When we come back from the break, give us a call if there's any questions you have regarding your lawn, your flowers, your plants, your trees, your little indoor plants, the little bonsai, the little bamboos, all that good stuff. Give us a call. We'll be taking your calls to answer those questions and going from there. And then, of course, stay tuned for 10 o'clock. We're going to have auto repair with personal care. We'll have Matt Gibbs in the studio to do the same thing, but with auto repair with cars.
Talk about the cars.
That's right.
Yeah.
You're listening to WOCA, The Source Radio, 96.3 FM, 1370 AM, and we are streaming live, YouTube Live, WOCA, The Source Radio. And we'll be back after this. You got it. All right.
Fox News, I'm Chris Foster. The Democrats' debate tomorrow night will have someone new on stage. Michael Bloomberg qualifies with a new NPR-PBS Marist poll, the fourth to have him above 10%.
It shows him with 19% support nationally in the Democratic field, coming in second to Senator Bernie Sanders, who is in the lead at 31%. The Democratic National Committee recently changed its rules for debate qualification, dropping the donation requirement, an important distinction because Bloomberg is not taking donations.
Fox's Tanya J. Powers. The head of the Federal Judges Association calls an emergency meeting about Trump administration intervention in politically sensitive cases.
Judge Cynthia Roof in Philadelphia said 1,000 federal judges called for the meeting to be held today after officials with the Department of Justice essentially recalled a 7 to 9 year sentence recommendation put out by the U.S. Attorney's Office for President Trump's confidant Roger Stone.
Fox's David Spunt. America's listening to Fox News.
My portfolio's diversified, my 401k's maxed, but my savings account just sat there till I switched it to Marcus by Goldman Sachs. I'm earning way more now, and just between you and me, my savings are right on track, feels like I got upgraded for free.
You can money. With an online savings account from Marcus by Goldman Sachs, you could earn much more interest than with the largest banks. Sign up at Marcus.com.
Comparison made to the 3 largest U.S. banks measured by total deposits. Rates as of January 21st, 2020 may vary by state. Goldman Sachs Bank USA, member FDIC.
When Allstate agents and employees go to work every day, their number one priority is protecting what matters most to you. For military veterans, that instinct to protect also comes naturally. No wonder thousands of veterans build good careers with Allstate. And now, Allstate is ranked the number one employer on the 2020 Military-Friendly Employers list. You're in good hands with Allstate.
For career opportunities or to get a quote, contact Allstate today. Allstate Fire and Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates, Northbrook, Illinois.
Broadcasting from the Paddock Mall Studios, this is WOCA, Ocala, Gainesville, The Villages, 1370 AM, 96.3 FM, The Source.
Would you believe it? Nice-sized trees, average height 6 to 8 feet for $10 to $20. That's exactly what you get if you're a smart shopper at Bob Wine's Camellia Gardens. Bob has set aside a special closeout of these trees, including red maples, drake elm, sycamore, holly, oak, and more. Take your pick while they last $10 to $20. You just can't afford to miss out on these deals. Don't forget the azalea sale. Bob has dwarf, ever-blooming red ruffles, still $3.99. Larger sizes are available. Great-looking double red knockouts and drift roses, just $19.99. And this year's best ever camellia show, it's going on right now. More than 5 acres of blooming camellias, all in multicolored splendor. You can get a small size Bob Wine's heirloom camellias this week for just $9.99. Check the ad, bobwinescamelliagardens.net, then hurry on over. Special store hours now open daily, including Saturday till 4:30. Bob Wine's Camellia Gardens, in the same blooming place since 1952.
Ocala, quick minute news. NASCAR driver Ryan Newman is in the hospital after the fiery crash on the final lap of the Daytona 500. NASCAR Executive Vice President Stephen O'Donnell read a statement from Newman's Roush Racing team.
Ryan Newman is being treated at Halifax Medical Center. He's in serious condition, but doctors have indicated his injuries are non-life-threatening. We appreciate your thoughts and prayers and ask that you respect the privacy of Ryan and his family during this time.
Newman was in the lead when his car was nudged by Ford teammate Ryan Blaney and sent veering into the wall. The car flipped, caught fire, was hit by another car, which tossed him into the air again. Defending champ Denny Hamlin did take the checkered flag, edging out Blaney. A man is dead after getting hit by an Amtrak train in Polk County. Deputies say the man was on the tracks yesterday afternoon in Auburndale when he was struck. The train was carrying over 100 passengers from Miami to New York, but no one on board was hurt. SpaceX has reason to celebrate after a beautiful launch from Cape Canaveral yesterday morning.
3, 2, 1, 0. Ignition, liftoff.
SpaceX, however, failed to stick the landing of its Falcon 9 rocket. The first stage failed to land on the SpaceX barge, positioned hundreds of miles off the Florida coast. The rocket sent 60 more internet satellites into orbit. A St. Augustine man is accused of burglarizing a multi-million-dollar penthouse owned by the father of pop star Taylor Swift. The property is in St. Petersburg, and police say they have video of Terrence Hoover getting past security through an emergency stairwell. It looks like President Trump raised $10 million this weekend. Donors paid almost $600,000 a couple to attend a fundraiser at Mar-a-Lago. For your Ocala Quick Minute News, 96.3 FM, 1370 AM, The Source.
Justice League Estate Sales. With great customer service in a time of need. Liquidating a home and vehicle is hard enough. Let the Justice League Estate Sales family-owned team help. They have highly trained appraisers available to work with you. The Justice League Estate Sales name was inspired by a boy named Justice and the Autism Awareness Organization. Please visit www.justiceleagueestatesales.com for upcoming sales. And tune in every Tuesday at 10:35 a.m. on WOCA and learn how the team can help you.
Areas of morning fog, very warm for the day with periods of clouds and sun. High 85 to 89. Mild tonight with increasing clouds, a low of 67 to 69. Tomorrow, clouds and sunshine. Shower at a few places. Wednesday's high 84 to 86. Then at night, partly cloudy with a low 65 to 69. From the Florida Weather Center, I'm Kevin Snyder.
I'm Scotty, owner of 12 Rounds Boxing, with a personal invite for you to come check out my gym in Ocala, Florida, open 7 days a week from 10 a to 10 p. Come check us out.
In the Garden with Carol Ann. You're listening to AM Ocala Live on WOCA, The Source. And we're back. Carol Ann, good morning.
Good morning once again.
That was fun, a little off the air, Joe.
Yeah, little goofing around there.
Absolutely.
Always a little lightness on the the other side. But no, I said, as we went to break, that we're coming to time to prune those shrubs and things like that. And so one rule of thumb is that when we're pruning our shrubs is never take off any more than 1/3 at a time.
Mm-hmm.
So if you have a 6 foot tall shrub that you want to take down, somewhat, this year you can take off 2 feet. Mm-hmm. So that's going to bring it back down to a 4 foot high shrub, and of course, it will grow this year, so it may come up a little further than that. You could, or if you have something that's larger, maybe much larger limbs, you could take off 1/3 either of the limbs if you're looking to open something up, and let more air through on that, or again, that the length of them taking off 1/3. So we try not to do any more than that, only because it puts a lot of stress. You figure, it's not like cutting our hair where it's no big deal. We're
like cutting our arms off.
It's like we're gonna or it's like cutting a fingernail. Cutting a fingernail down too far. Ouch, that hurts.
Right.
It's a stress to us.
Excellent.
We can get an infection in there and things like that. I mean, now a plant, you could still possibly bring in a fungal issue or something like that, but normally not if you only go with about 1/3. And
I like that analogy. Yeah. That's perfect, because that's exactly what that's like.
That's
because you don't want to cut too much, and depending on how long it is how much more you're going to cut.
Right.
So if your nails are really, really long and you want to get them back to the length that's necessary, then you're going to cut more off. So you said about 1/3.
Right.
Yeah. Excellent.
So 1/3 on your and that way you can take your height down. You can control the height. You can control the size, and also encourage new growth. And we also, when we're doing, say you have a hedgerow in front of the house, and everybody has a tendency to just square that thing off. It's flat on top and flat down the thing. And 5 years, 10 years down the line, the bottom of it's getting real thin.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's starting to look shabby down there. Well, one thing is you can take and take a little more off. Maybe you're only taking a little bit at a time. Take a little more off, and then have the top a little more narrow than the bottom. Say the bottom of your hedge is about 4 feet. The top's going to be about 3.
Yeah.
Something like that. Nothing. It doesn't have to be anything drastic. Right. Maybe not even that far. You might even say 3.5 feet at the top, and that's going to allow sunlight down in there.
Okay.
Because we actually, when we try to go in a straight line down, we're probably coming in some, or when we make them a ball,
right.
Well, we're cutting that bottom foliage off, and we're bigger, and we're not allowing light in. That's actually shading the bottom and not.
If you think about rounded, that's actually
shading more of the bottom of it. So going to square, and I always forget the name of that shape, that geometric. It's flat on top, a little bit of an angle down, and then you figure the ground is flat, so and the back side's flat.
So how many sides is that?
1, 2. It's still 4 sides, but it's not a square and it's not a rectangle.
And it's
got one angled side.
Yeah, it's not really like a diamond. Or
No, it's a little bit different. Whatever the name of that shape is. But yeah, you want a little bit, and if you want the top, you don't want the top to be squared. You can kind of round that off a little. It's just that you want that just a little bit more narrow at the top than the bottom, allowing the light to come in.
Yeah.
And one of the better things too is take a look around. There are nowadays some new varieties out there that are smaller.
Yeah.
That's mature size might only be 5 feet.
Okay.
So to keep it at a 4-foot hedge would be a little easier, because if you cut it to 4, it's not going to take off necessarily and to come over, or things that are going to about, say, a 3-foot. Some of your encore type azaleas that are your multi-time-a-year bloomers, you can get dwarf or intermediate or a standard size, where your dwarfs are 3 to 3.5 feet tall. So if you have an area, you lower maintenance.
Yeah. Yeah.
So after, your pruning on that is just to clean them up just a little bit, because they're going to grow just a small amount if you give them a pruning. Same thing on some of your other hedges. Pittosporum is one, the variegated pittosporum, popular plant out, but that's actually a pretty big shrub.
Right.
They can get 5 feet, 6 feet high. There's one variety out there. It's called Mojo. And it's a little tiny one. It's a short one. So if you're looking for something small to, say, put around the light post, or the mailbox or something like that you don't have to do a whole lot of extra care to, there you go. And no worries, not having to get out there and do a lot of maintenance. Little John bottle brush still gives you that bottle brush activity, and for bees and butterflies and hummingbirds. It's small.
Okay.
You could plant that in a nice little area.
Is that what I'm looking at there?
Looks like it. Is that one the Mojo?
The dwarf.
Yeah, the
Mojo
dwarf. Yeah, Mojo dwarf. Yeah, and I think that's an exclusive to Southern Living.
Okay.
So, if you're looking, if there are a lot of folks who like the Southern Living magazine, and they feature certain plants each month.
Yeah.
And, just knowing where I work, and I believe some of the other independent nurseries in that carry the Southern Living brand. And they're usually going to try to get the ones that are going to do well in our area into the stores.
Yeah.
So you'll find a lot of those that you'll see in the Southern Living magazine in the stores, in your, either in the Lowe's or in probably your favorite garden centers, other than Lowe's. So, just take a look. And they have some, for years, people were saying that Nandina, the Nandina, the old domestica, the 6-foot tall one, you're not going to find anymore because it's considered an invasive.
Oh, okay.
So that one's gone, and they say that birds will eat the berries on that instead of eating the berries they should be eating, and they don't get the right nutrition. Well, provide the actual food that the plants they want.
Yeah.
Or if your whole landscape was one plant, it would be a monoculture, and it wouldn't be good for anything anyway.
No.
It wouldn't be attractive. So we're planting more than that. But you can get some of the newer varieties. They're smaller. They're anywhere from like a 2-footer, I think up to about a 4 in that, and I don't think that they bury quite as often.
Yeah.
But you also, if you're still concerned that the birds might be eating the berries and you don't want them to, after they flower, or even while they're go through and cut them off.
Okay.
Cut the flowers off. They won't have any berries.
Yeah.
Now, if you get rid of that, it's one way to eliminate that problem is to just remove them. Other selections that have been out there that have gotten a bad rap that have now been hybridized are Mexican petunias. Those were another one that everybody said, oh no, never plant those. And still on gardening websites and Facebook blogs and things like that, you'll find, don't plant that. And it's like, well, wait a minute. The ones that are sold in the stores now are hybrids.
Okay.
Because the other ones are considered invasive species, they're hybrids. The seeds are not viable.
Okay.
And so, yes, they will run, some still, but I managed to control them when I did some landscape work for a lady here in the Ocala area. And they were gorgeous. She had them along her fence line. I don't think hers were hybrids, but we kept them in check.
Yeah.
And it wasn't that difficult. But if you're not a gardener, if you're not somebody who's going to get out and you're wanting a little more low maintenance. So do a little research and find out.
Would this be more, this image here, more of like the hybrid, but yet something like this is more the regular?
They may not even be showing you nowadays anything but the hybrid.
Okay.
Only because you can't get the other one. And there is actually, and they're sometimes hard to find, is the little dwarf one on those. Makes a cute little mounding ground cover.
Okay.
And again, if it's in an area where you have mulch or stone or someplace like that, the seeds aren't shooting super far. And I think again that they're sterile seed, so it's not.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you see that nice little clusters, and they'll spread, and you can move them.
Yeah.
You can get your little shovel in there and take one out.
And it's hiding, just like you said, a little dirt mound area that was caught up by where you don't have to retile that whole area. They
right.
Got it actually.
It's just put in there, and it's kind of an interesting addition in there. There's people who go so low maintenance that they do, to me, way too much rock, or way too much mulch. And it's okay, you don't have a lawn, but you also don't have anything else really aesthetic. But people will do, say, the Mexican petunias, or they'll do junipers. The low-growing junipers can make a nice, cover. I see that they look really nice on stone. The juniper do.
Yeah.
Other stuff, I'm not a big fan of stone myself. It can look nice if you're doing succulent gardens and things like that. You almost need that kind of look.
Yeah, because that's the contrast.
That's just the contrast within that. But you can look if you're looking for other ground covers for those areas that you're not sure what to plant. You got a tough area. Look for, and you're going to have to go to the independent nurseries.
Yeah.
And I'll lead into that to the Master Gardener Spring Festival here in a second. Sunshine mimosa. It's a native plant. Beach or dune sunflower, another one that's spectacular on a sunny areas. Ice plant you can do. I don't think ice plant is a native, but there's several ground covers. Purslane you can put in. It's a perennial peanut. Perennial peanut can take a little while to get itself established, but it's a great ground cover, and it really hugs the ground.
Yeah.
It has great little yellow flowers on it.
Yeah.
So, some of these things, you may find them sometimes in, say, a big box store, but they're going to be in like a quart container, and you're looking at that going, wow, I wanted to plant this whole large area with that. Hit an independent nursery and say, I'm looking for plugs of it, and that they may be able to find you, where it's just like a plug of grass.
Yeah.
It's only got an inch and a half, 2-inch deep root system, but you're getting 18 of them.
Right.
So you can boop, 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 boop all the through, and then let them creep and crawl across, versus a 1-quart pot where you're now digging an 8-inch hole and you've got one plant.
Right.
That you've got, and you're looking at, probably close to $3 a pop, where, you might spend $20 for a tray. You're still, it's smaller plant material, but can go a long way.
Yeah.
So, think of those. And as I said, the Marion County Master Gardener Spring Festival, it's like one of the first deals for the season. It's like opening festival season, is the 14th and 15th of March. Same great, 25 years.
Yeah, this is the
25th anniversary of the Master Gardener Spring Festival. And it's been 22 years back over at the Extension grounds. This, I think, is actually the third year it will be at the Livestock Pavilion, where we have the use of that covered pavilion, so rain or shine.
Yeah.
You're not, it does stretch out into some uncovered areas, but the vendors all have tents and things like that. And March, some years it's cold, some years it's hot, some years, it's one of those things. It's right there on that cusp of spring. So we're never real sure on what kind of weather. Great vendors, great speakers. We have speakers in the auditorium. I'm trying to think where the other speaker area is. We got a great kids zone, great introduction for kids in the auditorium. I mean, they got everything. It's jam-packed full. You could spend probably a couple of hours in there. You're learning about bees and bats and butterflies, and they bring bees in where you can see, the inside of a hive.
Oh, awesome!
And how bats, how beneficial bats are to the environment.
Is that right?
Same thing, how beneficial and how much we need bees. Butterflies, I think we talked about how they turn from that hungry caterpillar that you read about in the storybook to this gorgeous butterfly, and I mean they turn to liquid and then reform. It's you can't deny that there's not a higher power that came up with that.
that there's some
that there's a higher power that designed this. Great activities for the kids, great vendors. We've had some of the most spectacular vendors, some of the most gorgeous plants that come in, and go out the door. Orchids and ground covers and trees. And now that we have that nice area, I mean, we had, was it Yard Stop? It was one, and I hate to say the name because I don't want to have it wrong. I mean, came in with some of these huge palms.
Oh, wow.
And set up a gorgeous display that you might find at one of the trade shows.
Is that right?
I was impressed. I was like, wow. I mean, this is the kind of stuff that you see. But this is stuff you can have installed in your landscape, and it's just a spectacular event. If you've never been, it's something to go to. The following week is Kanapa Hall Gardens, but I think ours still is a better show. It's a $2 admission, and that helps cover the advertising and things like that, and insurances and things like that we have. And I mean, your presentations are all free.
Yeah.
The educational portion, because that's what Marion County Master Gardeners do. We're an educational program. We reach out to the community to educate people on home gardening, landscape, plant selections, right plant in the right place, the whole works. Usually one of the water management districts comes out, forestry comes out, Rainbow Lakes parks, state parks and all that come out with information about what goes around, what is Central Florida.
Yeah.
It's all there. It's, and it's not the big box stores. It is local. And I mean, some of the vendors, yes, they are from out of town, but that's where they're from. You're looking for tropical fruits. You're not necessarily going to find a tropical fruit nursery in Marion County, but you'll find one down south of Orlando. And there's nothing wrong with that. Some of their plants will do just fine here. Same thing with some stuff might be coming out of Monticello, Florida. Even Georgia and things like that. That there's still stuff that can do well. So it's a fantastic weekend. It's a 2-day event. The only thing, parking is free. Please don't bring your pets.
No.
And I mean, don't put the vest that you bought offline that says service pet, because they're not. And we don't want your pet to get hurt.
Right.
And we don't want them to hurt someone else by maybe, because we have pet service animals are not being held close to the body like a regular service animal is, where that service animal is right on the heel of the person that's helping. And if you're carrying your service pet, that's not a service pet. That's a comfort animal. And I hate to, that's, people are probably screaming at me right now, but that's what it is. It's a comfort animal and could stay home for a few hours while you go out and enjoy yourself. We don't want to hear that somebody put their dog in their car and left the windows open. Cops will be called. But no, it's a great day, always a great weekend. And the vendors, if you don't make it there on Saturday, don't worry. The vendors don't necessarily run out. They'll go back, or they have a trailer full to restock their booths.
Right.
So they're
so if
prepared.
There's something that they've sold
they are
and
prepared.
missed out on,
right.
They're ready to.
They're prepared, or they're local enough they can say, "Hey, guess what? We have more back at the nursery. We did sell out. Come by and see us next week."
Right.
Yeah, and then you're visiting a local nursery and a local business, and that's what we want as well. And also realize the Marion County Master Gardeners, we sell the Melaleuca mulch, which is the one we try to encourage people to use because it helps to eradicate a Melaleuca problem that they tried to dry up the Everglades with. So it's removing an environmental invader. And it's a good mulch. It's a fine mulch. It's also naturally insect resistant.
Really?
But the only thing I will say, if you're allergic to papaya, stay away from that one. It has the same oils.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Is that the oils that make it somewhat insect resistant?
Well, probably. That probably is part of that too. Is that it's one of those things. So if you're someone who can't do meat tenderizers and eat papaya, stay away from that because you could be in trouble.
Interesting.
We learned that by somebody calling up going, "Hey, just to let you know, this happened to a
they're
customer."
Spreading
They called,
it in the oils.
And anaphylaxis can occur because you're handling that much of it. You're picking it up and throwing and breathing it and absorbing it. So and with anything, and I believe there might have been an article go around on Facebook or something like that recently. If you're messing with garden soils, potting mixes, and things like that. I believe the article was actually out of like the UK or Australia or somewhere like that, so I'm not sure if we have the same issues here. But the bags actually tell you wear gloves.
Right.
Wear gloves. There's a reason. There's fertilizer in there.
Right.
There are microorganisms in there. It's packaged and put into a plastic bag.
Which usually when you get that plastic bag, the heat
and moisture
and the
and things like that in there. So you've got other stuff going on. So just for your own, keeps you from having quite as nasty a fingernails, but also, you're not worried about what might you pick up from that.
Right.
From they contain like I said, fertilizers, but also the combination of other wood products and compost products, and that be on the safe side.
That even goes into pulling weeds.
Pulling weeds. See, I
I
never used to be a glove wearer until I encountered fire ants.
Ooh.
At least if you have gloves on, you might see them before they get on you.
Yeah.
Before they get all the way on. Another thing was at the county extension gardens, we had a problem with feral cats that would come into the garden and use our garden beds as a litter box.
Yeah.
And so you want gloves on.
Yeah.
Because, maybe your neighborhood, maybe you don't have that problem, but you don't, you don't always know these kind of things in advance. And just, that pulling weeds hurts, or cuts and scrapes that can get infected.
Yeah.
So it's, one of those kind of things to do in use caution. This time of year, remember it is getting warm out. Use your sunscreen.
Yep.
Drink water before, during, and after.
Yep. Even if it's cooler out. Even if it's cooler because you're not sure.
That's the hardest time to do it.
Yep.
And we at work have that hard time, and that we have to go. You need a bottle of water. I haven't seen you with a bottle of water. Yeah, I haven't seen you with a bottle of water in your hand for over an hour. Here's a water. Drink it.
Absolutely.
So it's stay hydrated. It'll be the mantra for the summer. We haven't been out there in the garden much. Be careful of your back, your knees, and everything else.
Yep.
Make sure your wheelbarrow's got air in the tire. Nothing worse than trying to push a wheelbarrow with a flat tire when you just filled it full of rock.
Yeah.
Or dirt.
Yeah.
So do all those little things, and let's start out a gardening season on a good foot.
And that's what it's about, starting the gardening season. This is it. So we were We had a good show. We talked a lot about
yeah.
there, and especially the pruning, and then just finishing up with what's left to do to stay safe out there, too.
Yeah, that's right. And don't forget the In the Garden page on Facebook. It is a Facebook group page. Join, send a picture, whatever you like. Use it. It's here for your use as well as mine.
Excellent. Well, thank you very much, Carol Ann.
Another great day.
Another great one.
Yeah.
We'll be back after this. WOCA Ocala.
News. I'm Chris Foster. There's a new qualifier for tomorrow night's Democratic Party presidential debate.
Michael Bloomberg will finally be face-to-face with the other candidates vying for the Democratic presidential nomination thanks to a new NPR PBS NewsHour Marist poll out today. The poll shows Senator Bernie Sanders in the lead with 31% and Bloomberg at 19%, followed by former Vice President Joe Biden at 15% and Senator Elizabeth Warren at 12%.
Fox's Tanya J. Powers. Denny Hamlin wins his third Daytona 500, a race ending with Ryan Newman in a fiery crash at the finish line. He's hot.